the Daily Morning Show where we talk about the latest topics in entertainment. I'm Brittany Jones-Cooper.
I'm Shannon Coffey.
I'm Britt Morin.
I'm Allie Colbert.
And I'm Lucas Tim. Hi, everyone.
Woo! Today, we're going to talk about an exciting new feature on the dating app Hinge and Barack Obama's special video message to millennials uninterested in voting. Plus, Garage Squad TV host Heather Storm joins the table, and original Queer Eye stars Carson Kressley and Thom Filicia stop by to discuss their new show on Bravo. Very exciting. But first, Britt, you've had your events here going all week. How's that going?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Last night we had Stacey Bendette, the founder of Alice and Olivia. She wears black eyeshadow that's like this big. I was just saying, I could have interviewed her for an hour about how she takes that off. And she said she's gonna do that till she's like 100.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
It's a
so
statement
more
look.
power to her.
I love Alice and Olivia.
You also had Phoebe Robinson here last night.
Phoebe Robinson from Two Dope Queens.
So
like,
good.
we did a segment called Trash or Not Trash about like President Fitz from Scandal, The Bachelor. Like, there was some good content last night.
Because her new book is Everything is Trash.
Yeah.
Everything is trash.
There are so many things that are trash, though, right now.
Is anything not trash?
I mean, her? She was like, I'm not trash.
So for people who don't really know, like, can you explain and tell people what exactly Brit & Co is and how awesome it is?
Yeah, so we are a multi-platform media and commerce company made for young women in their 20s and 30s, all about encouraging them to pursue their passions. So last night was hustle night. Tonight is about wellness. Tomorrow night's about style. We're bringing together some of our favorite entrepreneurs and designers and creatives in the whole country here to New York City.
That's awesome, and we're so happy to be working with you.
Thank you.
I can never have enough information to help me adult better.
Yes, better adult. Yes, basically that's what I meant. Brit & Co is better adult.
Yeah.
That's
love that.
the simplified version.
I love it.
But also you do like fun things too. I was looking up, I was trying to find what to do for Halloween. Like you do like funniest Halloween costumes. Like you do like great lists too.
You know what? Halloween is like the one chance a year people can feel creative, even if they think they're not. So people go all out.
Totally.
We are like the Super Bowl of Halloween on the internet. If you go to Brit.co, plug. We really have thousands and thousands of costumes we put together. I talked about Prego yesterday. Like a great maternity costume. So
What are you
I know that's
thinking
what you're envisioning wearing this
Yes,
year.
yes,
What are you
I'm
thinking
feeling
of
that
being
idea.
this year?
Well, now that I have children, it's like all about the family costumes.
Oh, right.
So,
That's a different game.
Right. My 3-year-old like loves astronauts right now, so we're gonna be space. I'm like stars. My husband's moon. He's an astronaut, and my little toddler is an alien.
I
Great.
love that. That's so
Guys,
high
should we
level.
just do that, the four of us?
Yeah, we may steal that.
Alien, I'm an alien.
She's the alien.
Brit and her family are space, and our family is Earth.
There you go.
We orbit around.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
So cute. In other news, Canadians will now be able to celebrate 420 every day because it's official. Weed is now legal in Canada. The country is now the second in the world to legalize recreational marijuana and potentially even pardon those who were previously jailed for possessing small amounts. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who pushed for the legislation, tweeted, "Profits out of the hands of criminals, protection for our kids. Today, #cannabis is legalized and regulated across Canada."
This is so weird to me because I literally won the DARE essay contest in 5th grade about like no smoking, no drugs, no everything.
So is this a hard day for you?
It's like a weird day for me. I'm like
Times have
conflicted.
changed.
I know, but as a business owner, I'm like, this is an amazing business move for Canada, right?
Yeah.
Like, screw alcohol. It's all about the cannabis.
Interestingly enough, the country that preceded Canada was Uruguay.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the Netherlands, not Amsterdam. So although it's legal to sell marijuana in a city like Amsterdam, it's not legal to smoke it. So I don't know what they think we're doing with it.
Right. Just planting it again.
Yeah.
Just planting
Putting it back in the ground.
Replanting.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
This is super exciting. I mean, they're the largest country, obviously, to do this, and I think they're going to set the tone because what we're going to see pretty automatically is that they're going to tax this a lot, and the country's going to start having a lot of money that they can spend on things like education and important things, infrastructure. So the U.S., I'm just saying, pay attention. Our infrastructure is all outdated, and this would be a really easy way to pay for it.
It will never happen.
That's a great platform. We're going to pay through infrastructure through weed.
Why not?
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. You know, 100+ stores opened in Canada yesterday to basically commemorate the opening. Canada's working on this for a while. They're doing this really smartly because they're letting their equivalent to their states decide their own, age limits and restrictions. Like some states will only have government-operated stores, some will not. But yeah, absolutely. You know, in the United States, there are 9 states plus
Plus
DC can
DC,
do recreational use, and there's like 37 that can medical marijuana. So we're on our way. I think it is a really important issue. We'll talk about voting a little later in the show, but this is on the ballot for future future elections to come for sure.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about, I call it cannabis because like weed and marijuana just makes me think of like the Dare essay project. But like
triggering.
My mom was staying with us recently from Texas, super conservative, grew up in like 50s and 60s, and she was having some like headaches, and I was like, just have some CBD oil, Mom. And she was like, am I gonna get the munchies?
Right.
I was like, no, you're not gonna get the munchies, Mom. So like, I feel like we have to re-educate the population about why cannabis is a good thing, and it's not just about getting high and like having munchies.
Well, it's a problem that it's still like, you know, when during the 2016 election, when Hillary was saying, and she wasn't so progressive on the issue, but she was saying we should declassify from not being a Schedule I drug. Like, because, you know, the government thinks pot is the same as heroin.
Right.
So we could just be shooting up heroin in New York City, and then
fine.
same as the smell of weed. But yeah, we should change that so we can actually research it like Canada did, because they've been doing this for like the past 3 years of researching, getting a formal proposal, and we should do the same. So find out actually to educate people what this actually is.
Medically, there are so many benefits. I have people in my family who suffer from seizure disorders, and they use marijuana with THC, and they have to find ways to get it just to maintain their life. And it would be nice if they had access to things, because it's really hard to get a medical card certain places. And I think for the financial benefits and the health benefits, Canada is really, I think, on the right path. And they're setting the tone for other countries. Obviously, people are going to be studying how it pans out for them. So I like cross my fingers that it's successful and nobody like abuses it or does something crazy.
Can anyone really abuse cannabis? Like, if you abuse cannabis, you just end up in bed.
Right.
That's like, alcoholism is way more dangerous than abusing cannabis.
Totally.
Like, it's not possible, and I think that's why we should move away from alcohol.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
You just eat a lot of Doritos and stuff.
Yeah.
You just expend your
The
money on
munchies,
snacks.
right?
Yeah.
Just chill.
Right. Well, it's so funny because, you know, we've all lived in California. Like, it's a kind of a different world when it became legal, like going to a MedMen store in there. That there's so many different, like, products and things you can, it's really actually quite amazing and interesting that I feel like if this whole country embraced it.
So, but you don't need a medical license to buy that.
No, so now it's totally,
It's like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Do you think people will go to Canada more? Because we've seen that with like Denver.
I'm all about Canada. Like the Prime Minister is pretty good.
yeah.
I mean, the weather's better sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, isn't it colder in Canada?
I mean, but like with global warming, it's like I'm going long on Canada because I feel like it'll be the perfect temperature in like 20 years. Unless global warming falls.
You're playing the long game.
Exactly.
The long game.
About
I just like Canada because in Handmaid's Tale, it's where everybody's fleeing to.
Yes.
So now I see it as this like safe haven, and they just keep doing things right.
Isn't it in the real world where everyone's
That's amazing. I
Isn't
thought
this
you meant
Handmaid's Tale?
Facebook is bringing back the real world, separate topic. And I was like, the real world's going to Canada. Interesting.
Vancouver.
Like, old school yeah. Love it.
Good job, Canada.
Well, in other news, the millennial dating app Hinge has announced a new feature called We Met that allows users to review and report back on how their first dates go with matches. The tool will allow Hinge to gather data about what's happening with their users offline in order to provide better future matches. This is very Black Mirror, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode of Black Mirror when you're like swiping and you're rating the people and that girl can't get a ride, Dallas Bryce Howard?
You know, you're looking at me. You know, I didn't watch it.
Oh,
I
really?
definitely watched it.
It's just kind of natural for me to
It's
look
called
over here.
Nosedive. Yeah, it's like such a realistic episode because even though we don't rate ourselves yet, like I feel like we all like have this projection of how you think someone is, and that sticks with you. And people will be like, I don't know, I don't like that interaction, and you're like, we should just have the app.
But we are getting, like I get Uber ratings from my drivers, which
What's your rating?
4.8.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm only annoyed about
That is
it.
so Brit.
No, I'm annoyed because my husband, who is perpetually late to the Uber, is 4.9.
Yep.
And it's like, why? I don't understand why
I'm
these.
3-1.
She just gets in and yells at the drivers.
Wait, for real?
What did you do?
Really? No, that's a joke.
Do you cuss in the car? Like what?
No, I don't. I think it's because I call it from my apartment and then when they're there, I go down.
Oh.
This is what my husband does, but he's 4.9, so I'm just
That's
saying.
so
That's
unfair.
really bad, right?
Yeah, that's so low. I can't believe they pick you up.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been with drivers who are like, oh, you have a great rating. I don't pick up anyone who's 4.5, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's seriously
So
something I've been
if
upset
you were
about
on
for a really long
Hinge
time.
getting rated, What do you think you'd be?
I think I would be thrown off.
You're thrown off Hinge.
I don't know.
Do you think they'll throw people off?
Well, that's the purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose is to screen like the bad actors, people who show up drunk or stand up their dates or whatever, that because you're reviewing it to the Hinge board, the Council of Hinge, whatever it is, that they will then, right?
The Council of Hinge.
The dating council, that they will throw off the bad actors, so only because Hinge is supposed to be like, you're supposed to be finding your love of your life, so they want anyone who's not taken seriously to be thrown off.
Wait, I think I'm 3-4. Just
Not really better.
I'm gonna go check on that. But what if, okay, so what if you're both like 2 out of 5 on Hinge? So you're like not 1, you're not thrown off. Do you think the 2s all start pairing together? Because it's the best they can get.
Just all the trash people congregate to other trash people.
Hinge just imagine you are trash, here's another trash person.
I mean, that might help.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been on this app. I think that's a helpful tool. They are probably the most serious. We've talked about this in hair and makeup. I think between like Bumble and Hinge, those are the places you'll go to actually meet somebody you want to see and date. So I'd like to see them being proactive in it because there are so many garbage people on these apps, guys. I can't even.
I just want to see like the new edition of Hinge, like Hinge, dumpster human.
Right.
And you're all just have low ratings.
Well, honestly, like Hinge starts giving feedback, like, oh, by the way, like you need to work on like your breath smells bad.
I know, right?
Because like if you want your like little Hinge tip, and you're like, sure, and they tell you a little secret the one person said, like.
I love critical
honestly,
feedback.
Right,
I feel like that would help me.
tough
Thank you
love.
so much.
What?
Now I know why all my dates for the last 10 years have sucked.
Right.
Like, it's just my breath.
You're like, my marriage really gets in the way of my dating life.
I met my husband in like 2005, and dating apps weren't a thing yet. So I feel like I'm living vicariously now through the rest of you.
We could talk. I've got some stories.
I would be worried about people like just abusing this feature because I think that they should be reporting like actually like meaningful things that took place that were maybe harmful or really inappropriate as opposed to just like, oh, his breath was bad. Like I would hope it was like, this really wasn't a comfortable situation. This isn't the type of person that the app should.
I think it should be your breath is bad. Like,
Well,
I think that's important to get that feedback.
I think Hinge, at least what it seems like, will weigh those. I don't think they're going to kick off the person for bad breath, but I think they'll kick off the person who was drunk and inappropriate and
grabby, touchy.
We talked about this. It's a way for technology to take accountability for connecting people and for I get it. And this, when this Me Too era of respecting women, I think it's responsible that these apps most likely check some of these men who probably come on here.
What are the negative qualities that women would get rated on? Because you said
talking too much.
Yeah.
We talk a lot. I know I
Really?
do.
You shouldn't ever feel ashamed about that.
Oh, what about, this is very common with my friends where they know the date is going poorly and the girl orders a lot of extra food and drinks and then she like runs up the tab and then like just stitches out. I feel like if you could tell when someone's taking advantage of you on a date.
That's cold.
That's mean.
That's really cold.
I had a friend who Venmo requested half of the bill to this girl and then she like spread his phone number and everybody was like, how dare you keep Amanda's name out of your mouth, you're trash. And he was like, she like ordered 10,000 appetizers and it was already the end of the night and it was going really bad.
Does that girl want to be on Real Housewives? Because I think I can help her do that.
She'd be great.
on
Okay,
it.
let's get her.
She'd
Let's
be
get
great.
Amanda.
App aside, have you guys ever gotten feedback on a date from a person? No? I've had men ask me for feedback. Like after the date, maybe he asked me out again and I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. And he'd be like, well, why? Please tell me because I'm trying to be better and more self-aware. And it almost made me want to go out with him again because I was like, well, if you're open to being changed.
If I can mold you into my husband, perfect.
I'm happy to help you.
That's so funny.
You're a dream guy.
I know. That's the perfect match, I think. Yeah, anyone that you can mold. Exactly.
That's exciting. Well, and now it's time for one of our guests. Heather Storm is the host of Velocity's hit show Garage Squad, which is currently in its 5th season. Heather and her co-stars crash garages and help owners refurbish their classic hot rods so they can get back on the road where they belong. Let's take a look.
Right now I'm just removing this tie rod right here. I'm actually going to replace it, but not quite yet because when we do put the headers on, the tubing goes around the steering linkage. So I'll leave that out for now, but I am going to replace the shocks and the upper control arms that are really going to help with the handling of the car. All right, let's knock this out. There we go. Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
You got a jack for me? I need to drop this brake.
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
We ended up putting on new upper control arms because the bushings in the old ones were all dry rotted, the ball joints were worn out.
In with the new.
It was just easier just to put on a nice set of tubular control arms, which helps stiffen up the front suspension anyway.
That's it.
Everyone, please give a warm Build Brunch welcome to Heather Storm.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. So congrats, season 5 is airing right now.
Yeah.
How has this season been different for you? How was it? Was it more special? 5 in.
Yeah, 5 seasons in, I feel like, first of all, like everybody in the cast has really gotten to work together a lot, so we just have a lot of fun. We know each other's personalities. We know the little things that are gonna piss them off if we really want to. And also the stories have just gotten a lot better. We really can find the stories because our show isn't just about building the cars, it's about helping out the family, getting that car back on the road so that these people can kind of move on with their lives. Because a lot of times tragic events have happened that let the car sit in the garage for 20, 30, 40 years. So just really helping people through that transition into life.
How did you get started with this? Like, were you like 14, just like fixing your cars?
My father, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so my father had me helping in the garage all the time. He had old cars. And so he'd, tell my brother and I to stop watching TV, come out and help him in the garage instead. And, we kind of begrudgingly did that. And
you loved it?
Yeah, we fell in love with cars, yeah, absolutely.
Is it like meditative at some point to be just like fixing tires?
I don't know if it's meditative per se, because it can get frustrating, but I think there's a really good sense of accomplishment, When we all come together, we have 1 week to fix the car in the garage. So that's not very long at all. I mean, a lot of things have to happen. So when you have 8 of us in there working, it's a great team effort. And by the time we're done, I'm like, wow, we actually did it. Yeah. I'm always amazed myself.
Are you still, sorry, I was gonna say, are you still learning things?
Yes.
Always. Oh my goodness. There is endless things to learn. I mean, every time we're working on a different type of car, So I mean, even though it all basically goes together the same, it's also very different.
What's your favorite kind of car?
Oh my. Well, that's a tough one.
Do you have like 12 at home?
I have a 65 Mustang, silver blue. Yeah, it's really cool. Love it. Luxury pony interior. It's like the little ponies on the seat and everything. Yeah. So that's my car.
Okay.
So that's my favorite right now. I drive that daily. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A 65 Mustang. We're all taking Ubers.
Yeah.
When I lived in LA, I drove a Prius.
Yeah.
That was fun.
With pony interior.
That got me places.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot about cars, so I like the show a lot because it kind of educates me, and also, like you said, it helps give back to people, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and it's inspiring because a lot of people that watch the show, they have an old car in their garage, and they're like, oh, I've been meaning to get in there and work on it, and I can now. I feel inspired to get in there instead of feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. Can you tell us about working in these garages with you're in someone else's space and like the owners are there? Like, what is that process like?
So we're like a band of gypsies. So we kind of show up at the owner's house, they submit their car, they get chosen, we show up, we unload the van into their garage, kind of take over their space, as you say. And I think it's a little overwhelming for the owners at first. I mean, like I said, there's usually been some tragic event that made the car sit in their garage for a long time. So then all of a sudden everybody comes in, and you guys know production isn't, it doesn't tread lightly, and it's like, all right, we're setting up here, move out of the way, putting things here. But after the weekend, they get in there and work with us on the cars. So I think after they get with us and they're joking around in the garage and stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, this is good. And they're learning about their car too.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of companion piece to the show where people can learn things to do at home? Like, just simple things.
Yeah, well, we
cars.
give tips and stuff. Yeah, there's like tech tips and different things. We're like, okay, look, this is how you can tell this is how you, and so people can go, oh, you know what, I have that car and I never even knew that.
What are the basic things that people should know how to do with their car?
That's a good question.
That we probably don't.
Most people, I think, just rely on taking it to the dealer or the mechanic, like something's wrong.
Right. True.
But I think really basic things. I mean, you should know how to check your oil, okay? You don't necessarily need to know how to change it, but you should at least know how to check it.
Yeah.
He's looking like really wide-eyed right now.
I have no idea how to do any of this stuff. I'm lucky I did not die in my Prius. Can you pump your own gas? I can pump my own gas. That was an achievement when I learned that.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
Change a tire?
Yeah.
Would you say
Changing a tire is really important. My father wanted me to know how to change a tire in order to get my license. Driving a stick shift, really important.
I know how to do that.
I could barely fail that part.
You shouldn't be driving.
That's why I moved back to New York.
Yeah, only Ubers.
And then, I mean, simple things like you should understand where things are on your car. Like, open the hood, look at it. Okay, there's the battery. Great, good to know. You should know how to jump a car. I mean, that's really important.
Change the wiper fluid.
Just add wiper fluid or water. That's pretty good.
I know you can stuff. know. I'm from Texas. My dad raised me right.
Well, I mean, the jumping is important, right? Because maybe your car will die, or maybe someone else's will, and you can be a good Samaritan and help them out.
Yeah.
And I think people always get really nervous about that, too, because it's like, oh my God, there's electricity, and how do I do this?
And it's kind of hot when you're a girl. I mean, I'm going to call them. You're like, you need to change your tire, like side of the road, jump your car. Like, I feel like it's cool. Like, first of all, your name's Heather Storm, which is already hot. And then you're like fixing cars. That's just like a very cool female trait to
Yeah, you're absolutely like a role model for young girls interested in cars. Like, what is the message you hope to send to, you know, female viewers and girls who watch the show?
We can do anything we want to do.
Hell yeah.
Come on.
I love it.
Including driving across the U.S. in that 65 Mustang.
Right, yeah.
Which you do. You have a web series about
Yeah,
that, which is like so many people's dream.
It's so fun. It really is. I think that there's something, of course, road trips are great, and in a newer car, it's a little more comfortable in times, I'll be honest. But the thing about driving in a classic car is you take your time. And really the country is meant to be seen by taking your time, taking the slow roads, and having fun and kind of drifting back in time into when, you know, the highways were first paved and people were traveling across the U.S. thinking, oh, let's all pile in the car and go see America. And so there's a lot of nostalgia there, and it's really cool.
How do you feel about electric cars?
I think electric cars are great. I know that's like surprising because like we're not working on electric cars.
Yeah.
But I think there's room for everything. You know, I mean, I think it's great to have the classic cars and keeping that alive. But I think, you know, technology is moving forward. We're moving into the future, and electric cars are the future.
My kids are 2 and 3, and I don't think they'll ever drive. Like, I literally...
They may not.
I think they're going to have auto drive on everything.
Self-driving cars.
Yeah, so... But maybe they'll know how to change a tire.
The self-driving technology hopefully will be good then. Right now, I've been in those cars and almost crashed.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have
Really?
one of those. I have one of those.
My dad has one of those. And,
Yeah.
I've been in it, and he's like, all right, it's gonna go now. And I'm like, I'm going into a ditch.
I'm dying, Dad.
Turn this off.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to trust it right now. You're like, I trust myself. I don't know if I trust this
They
vehicle.
make you like touch the wheel every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But it gets a software update every 2 weeks, which is kind of cool because your car's getting better. It's like Heather coming to your house every 2 weeks. And it's like you're just getting better over time.
Yeah.
So
It's like Janet on The Good Place.
I would like it because it's just less judgment those late nights, Saturday nights. The driver wouldn't be judging me that I'm wasted. So just, you know, if it's a robot car and they're just like won't say anything to me. Can you tease us anything that's going on? Season 5 is a big season. Can you tease us anything that's going to happen?
Well, we have 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I can't believe how quickly it's gone by. So the next episode we have coming up, the son lost his dad at such an early age. I think he was 11 years old, and he had a gearhead father who had a really cool gasser sitting in his garage, and it was sitting there over 40 years before we came in. So it was tough because I was working with him a lot on the car, and we actually, the fun part is we didn't just end up doing 1 car on this episode, we end up doing 2 cars. So we discover his mom's Mustang in the garage as well.
In the same span amount of time?
Yes.
Wow.
We're like, oh, okay, well, what's this? Well, maybe we should get this going too for you, because they've both been sitting there. And so it was kind of bringing his whole memory of his father back to life, and for his mom and him. And it's a very emotional episode. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And everyone, make sure to check out season 5 of Garage Squad on velocity.com.
Woo. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, Barack Obama is on a mission to get voters to the polls. In a new video for attention, the former president shuts down 7 common excuses for not voting in an attempt to get young Americans to the polls on November 6th for the midterm elections. Let's take a look.
I don't care about politics. Look, I don't care about Pokemon, but that doesn't mean it won't keep on coming back. That's actually what people in power are betting on, that you'll check out, that you won't vote. And when you opt out, that's what allows other people to essentially fill that void. It allows them to do nothing about the things that you'd like to see government do. So if you really want to throw a wrench in their plans, throw them out. Vote in somebody better. Elections, by the way, aren't boring. You know what's boring? Scrolling through endless photos of your dinner on Instagram. That's boring.
Oh, that's my president. Love him so much. Love you, Barack.
Salute to 44.
All right, so let's talk about these 7 common reasons, and I'll let you guys sort of extrapolate on how you feel. So the first one excuse that people say is they don't care about politics.
I think you probably don't realize that you do care.
Right.
It's just
It impacts every part of your life.
Yeah.
Actually.
So on a high level, it might be easy to say, I don't care, but then when you think about the way it could influence your existence and the existence of the people you love, you probably do care about that.
I'm not asking you to know what bill Elizabeth Warren just proposed to the Senate, okay? I'm not asking you to know that. You just gotta care about the well-being of yourself and your friends and your family. You care about politics.
Yeah, and if you truly don't care, maybe think about how privileged you are to say that, because you have to be very privileged to say you don't care about politics. It means that you are in a bubble and you need to get out.
Yes, preach
Pop
to
that
that.
bubble.
All right, the second excuse is I can't relate to the candidates. Well,
it's changing a little bit though, right? I mean, more women than ever are running for office now, so at least 4 out of the 5 of us probably relate. New minorities.
Lucas is a woman.
I exclusively vote for women. No, it's more women, more people of color. It's absolutely incredible thing that's happening in 2018, the response to what happened in 2016. But also, I do have to say, it's like, I think what we learned in 2016, you have to be an adult, and you have to look at the 2 candidates that are possible and see which one's better represents my values, and vote.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can't relate, doesn't that mean you want to vote even more to get people in that you can relate to?
Yeah.
Like for me, it would be like, oh, well then I want like more women of color in there because I want them to reflect my values.
Yes.
Kind of a no-brainer. All right, the third one is my vote doesn't matter.
Ha! I was gonna say, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, 77,000 votes.
Yes.
The number of people who voted for Jill Stein in those 3 states is less than the difference between Trump and Hillary.
Yeah.
Okay? Every vote counts. It all matters. It matters.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Done.
Yes. Another excuse: midterms are boring.
What?
Like
Boring
in
is
school?
an interpretation. That's your interpretation of something. Just because you say something is boring doesn't mean it is boring. That's not a fact.
You're boring.
They're not boring, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they're more exciting now than ever, also, because the candidates are so awesome.
I think it's not the House, or it's not the president, but it's the House, the Senate. Like, it's the people who actually get to overrule the president.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like my dad doesn't matter at home. My mom does. You know what I mean? My mom's turning his stupid head with her neck.
Right.
Exactly.
I love that.
Real
We've seen it, guys. We saw the Kavanaugh hearings. That's what the Senate does, and the House proposes revenue bills and gets subpoena power. This is so important. This is essentially, it's as important as the president. So
This is like a human Facebook status.
In that PSA, I want to note that Obama said what's boring is swiping through your Instagram, looking at pictures of food for hours. Think about how we spend our time.
Yeah.
And maybe like on November 6th, we could spend it a little more productively. Is all he's saying. Yeah.
That.
Another excuse is I'm uninformed.
You might be.
Yeah.
And there's a thing called Google.
Google.
Right.
Yeah.
Google it.
There's a thing called
also
Google
called-
and believe anything you read.
Yeah. I'm uninformed is I'm lazy, basically. Like, I'm lazy and I don't care. Go back to you're in a bubble and you're privileged.
Nice callback. I love
This is
it.
all one woman.
Yeah. And then one more before we get out of here. I don't have time to vote.
Okay, as a business owner, and this is a new trend that I'm starting to see with others, like we're giving the full mornings off to our entire
That's dope.
staff. And like, don't come in till noon. Like, make sure you go vote. I feel like this could be a big movement of business owners. Obviously, not every business can do that, like retail, restaurant, but like, you could try, you know, if you're in a different industry.
Absolutely, businesses should do that. I mean, it's a shame that it's on a Tuesday, and this is an archaic law that was established in the 1800s about farming, why it's on a Tuesday. Yes, it should be a holiday or on a weekend, but it's not. But there's things called absentee ballots. There's early voting in 37 states. There's ways around that if you cannot vote on that Tuesday. So, you know, get out the vote. There's no excuse.
And by the way, I worked on Google Maps in 2008, and we made a find your polling place Google search query. All you have to do is say polling place and your zip code, and it'll be the first thing you see.
I feel like everything we talk about, you have had like firsthand experience. Like we're gonna be talking about the movie Lion, and you're like, I actually reunited him with his mother.
In the movie.
I was one of the first people who helped him find his home, and I'm like,
true.
oh my fucking God,
Thanks for having me. You guys are stroking my ego so much this week. I'm just gonna stay here.
Oh, that's awesome.
We love that. And now it's time for our next guest. You may know Carson Kressley and Thom Filicia as the stars of the original Fab Five from Queer Eye from the Straight Guy, but now they're on a mission to make America chic again. The duo is teaming up for a new design show called Get a Room with Carson and Thom, in which they revamp homes to breathtaking and affordable spaces using their expert skills and signature charm. Let's take a look.
I'm Thom Filicia.
I'm Carson Kressley.
And we're going into business together.
We're going to be designing homes. Look out, America.
I'm an interior designer in New York City. I have about 20 designers that work in my office. I love those. Okay. I would go with those two. We sell throughout the United States and throughout the world.
I have always had a career in the design world. And a lot of designers, and they all have home collections. So I got bitten really hard by the design bug. I was like, ow, I want to buy a sofa. I'm actually freaking out. Nervous? Yes. But I kind of, sort of, don't really know what I'm doing. Just broke the chandelier. I'm an idiot savant, but the savant is silent.
Most of you know us from Queer Eye. We're laying in a random guy's bed.
Yeah, it feels like old times. And we've been besties ever since. I thought, Thom knows what he's doing. He's like, you have great taste, let's have to learn from somebody. Maybe that somebody could be you.
Come on, Carson.
That's not the door.
We're going to be designing all kinds of projects. Some with big budgets. You're looking at $130,000.
And some not so big.
5,000. It's not always easy.
I trust you guys, kind of.
Houston, we have a problem.
What's the return policy?
This is worse than when Tom Ford left Gucci.
But in the end, it's totally worth it. This is amazing.
Oh my God.
We don't call it gay magic for nothing.
One amazing decorator and one person who has no idea what they're doing.
Everyone, please give a warm Bill Bunch welcome to Carson Kressley and Thom Filicia.
Thank you. Please, sit down. Sit down. That's ridiculous.
Calm down.
Too much.
Thank you.
Carson, Thom, it is such a privilege to have you guys.
Thank you so much.
I remember when the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy came out.
You must have been in utero. My God, you're so young. Did your mother put her iPad up to her womb?
We watched before iPads, yeah. But I was in the room, but my mom was watching. But that show opened our hearts and our minds, and it was a whole family activity.
Thank you.
So it's such a privilege to have you guys on.
That's
but it's
awesome.
so cool that you guys are doing a new show for Bravo.
We are.
Get a Room with
We
Carson
are.
Thom. I was lucky enough to watch the first episode, and I loved it so much.
Thank you.
You guys.
You're absolutely right. It's
It's great. It's informative. There's new lingos and words. Like
right.
bouger.
Yes.
Bouger.
Yeah, and all your clients, some of them are actually dead. So it's a really exciting show.
And she still complained too. That was
She
kind of
did.
like, we were like,
Like,
what?
you like this paint color, and then the chandelier would move a little bit.
We were like, that's not going to work.
She didn't. This is real.
Can you give our viewers
Savage. That's savage.
some context to the show and why there was a ghost?
Sure.
Well, she's a psychic.
Every episode, which the trailer kind of showed, we do like a major project for a client that has maybe a larger budget or more square footage, and then a smaller project for a more approachable space and maybe a smaller budget, smaller square footage. And our client in the first episode is a psychic.
And she really was, I mean, she was amazing.
So
she
talented, the real
so
deal.
So talented, the real deal. I mean, we were a little like, okay, we're going to check this out.
She gave us a reading.
She gave us a reading. It was like really amazing.
It was
absolutely.
Yeah, no, she contacted like people from the beyond.
And she gave us a reading about the other client on the episode, and it was precise.
And the whole thing, the real deal.
And we didn't even realize when she told it, we were like, no, that doesn't make sense.
She was like, the new Queer Eye is not as good as the
right. Yeah, there was no, and then she inherited this really amazing, like
her mother-in-law owned a beautiful kind of brownstone in Weehawken, and she was going to open her psychic parlor in one of the rooms that her late mother-in-law had decorated and was very proud of. So we had to redo the space. And I'm like, oh no, we're gonna have a ghost after us.
Yeah.
She doesn't like what we did.
And the chandelier in the room was a chandelier that was left to her by her mother-in-law, and that she said it was really important to her, so she kept it. And then Carson and I we started talking to it, which seems a little strange.
I think the psychic said like sometimes the crystals on the chandelier will move in a certain direction. I was like,
they'll say yes
this isn't
and no.
Scooby-Doo.
She said,
I was like, we gotta keep working.
It was like counterclockwise was yes, and you know, whatever. And so we were asking the chandelier questions, and it's really, I'm not even.
No, it was for real.
It just started to spin, and we were like. I kept thinking the producer. I was like, is someone like?
I was like, we gotta go buy some.
Well, when you bought the orange drapes, you were worried you're gonna get a cosmic bitch slap to the face.
Yeah,
but it ended up working out.
It did, and that's kind of like the idea of the show is that, you know, I think I have okay taste and I know how to dress, but you know, designing a room I thought was very similar to that, but actually it's a lot different because lighting changes everything. Paint looks different when it's on a wall. So that's where
Carson
Thom is
also
teaching
made the
me.
curtains on that particular episode.
I did make
And when
them.
he said to me he was going to make the curtains because it was, you know, we were trying to fit things in our budget, I thought, what could go wrong?
And I
like,
made
have
them
you
with
ever
that
made
tape that you iron on.
It was great.
And they weren't working. They're like, the iron's
Nothing.
not plugged
nothing
in.
went wrong. They actually were great.
And then with your other clients, you know, while Thom is busy moving furniture and designing, you're opening a bottle of champagne. So you see the real partnership at
well,
work.
first of all, I didn't
It's
realize that
important
was
to stay
happening.
hydrated.
First of all,
First of
just
all.
so you know, if I had any idea that was happening, I would have been so involved in that.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, this is happening and I wasn't involved. Like, I wasn't so upset about him opening the bottle of
think
champagne.
I
was
did
just
come
like,
in
you at
and
least have
offer
to
you
say,
some.
Thom, get oh, you did, I think.
I think I
But it
did.
was like, yeah.
It was late.
It was, yeah, we were there forever.
Because it's really real.
Can I ask a question? So I'm a design aficionado myself,
Okey-dokey.
but like a lot of people aren't.
Yes.
And what are the biggest mistakes that you see people making when they're trying to design their own rooms?
Well, I mean, I think the first episode is a great example of the mistake that a lot of people make, which is being paralyzed by making a decision. I mean, that is like, you know, I think what happens is that you get so overwhelmed and you start to overthink things to such a level that you just aren't able to like sort of pull the trigger and start. I also think the other thing that people do is they are really excited about a design and they create a Pinterest board and they, you know, they do all of these things and they have all of this inspiration that they love. And then they're like, I don't know, I'm just afraid maybe this color's too much. I think I'm gonna, and they start dialing it back and they sort of water it down to almost like
Beige.
to kind of nothing.
So I think
And
getting it started.
Getting it started and really, you know, trusting your instincts and you know,
Being
don't
bold.
don't sort of beat the life out of
How
it.
do you feel about pattern clashing? And I mean,
Apparently, I have no problem with that. I think, and Thom has said this as well. Like, look at your closet and see like the colors that you like and the textures and the patterns. That's probably things that you're gonna like living in.
Right.
And that's a great way to get started. And paint also, like you can choose a bold paint color. You can always paint it over. It's pretty inexpensive. It doesn't take a lot of time. And then save like the pattern and the things that you might tire of for throw pillows, blankets, things that you can remove easily and switch out and get it like an inexpensive place like a Home Goods or something like that.
Love that.
Do you start with like one piece? Like I'm somebody who gets paralyzed, so I do the minimal. So like, do you start with a couch that you love and then build from there? Like, is there something that should inspire the room?
Well, I always say that you should, you know, start with anchor pieces for a room. So in a living room, it's a great idea to start with a sofa, the key piece, the thing that really makes it. Without the sofa, it's just kind of like a room with a couple of chairs in it. And then dining room, dining table, you know, great dining table that sort of, you know, anchors the room. The bed for the bedroom, you know, bedding and the mattress, and really creating that, like, that moment. And everything around it can sort of be a little bit more, it can sort of phase in and phase out. It could be two lucite boxes with, you know, inexpensive like little task lamps on it, and it looks great with that great piece. But so it's really the anchor piece, I think, that sort of defines it. A rug is a great way. Like a lot of times people are like, how do I start? How do I pick colors? What do I do? So you can start with a rug and use that as an inspiration for the room. It's sort of, I used to call that sort of building from the ground up. And I think that helps people.
Yeah. But it can really be anything. It could be a favorite piece of artwork. It could be a movie that you love. There could be a vibe, that kind of. Inspiration is kind of everywhere, and it's the same in fashion. Like sometimes the collection is based on a film or a picture or a flower that somebody saw on a walk. So
on Queer Eye years ago, one of our episodes was this young guy that lived out at the beach, and the inspiration for his entire living room was his surfboard. So that was the thing that sort of, you know, sort of became the sort of springboard. And also what's great about that is that for a guy that is not a design aficionado, we were able to start to look at it and talk about like sort of the vibe of, you know, of surfing and the colors and all of that. And so he started to have sort of a design dialogue that he never thought was something he would
he understood the concept. So
right.
you know, that's the other thing I learned doing the show, and what Thom is so genius at, like have a plan, like have a floor plan of your room so you know what's gonna fit and how much you need. That's a great shopping list. Then have a concept, an inspiration photo, an inspiration board, an idea that you can kind of just say, does this work with like surfboard chic? Oh no, that's floral, that doesn't work. Keeps you on track.
It basically gives you sort of a blueprint. And it answers a lot of the questions, you know? It's just like, if you know that the sofa that you're looking for is a certain size, you rule out like if you're looking at 20 sofas, you can
Right.
roll out almost half of them immediately because they just don't fit.
Do you guys change up your own spaces at home like every other week because you're just like, new idea, new
I don't.
idea?
I mean, I haven't. I feel like I've only been. Yeah, it's like
We're not home a lot.
You're like, I don't have a home.
But doing the show,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
did inspire
yes.
me. Like I have my apartment here in the city. I renovated like 10 years ago, and it's basically the same. And I actually, for me,
Yep.
I kept it pretty neutral. It's like taupe and gray, and I do have a pink lacquer bathroom because it makes your skin look amazing. But that was the only like crazy thing I did. And so I'll just update it like I buy new lamps occasionally.
Yeah.
Right.
During the show, we went to Amazing Resources,
Carson
so I would leave with
actually-
like pillows.
No,
He's like, "What are those for?"
Carson's always like, wherever we're shopping, there's like things that we're getting for the show.
client.
And then there's a huge pile over here of things that we're getting because we're
For
like
Carson.
fitting them in the car for
Yeah.
Carson. It's hilarious.
And I'm like,
then he also
Antonio
talks
gave me
about
these
editing. I'm like,
pillows.
this is not editing.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious.
I do shop a lot. We did something yesterday that I think your audience would really love too, and we did like a rental apartment, which, you know, so many people live in rentals, and
Yeah.
what do you want to do? Like, what should you invest in? And Tom had the genius things like only invest in things that you can take with you.
Right.
Because you're renting everything else. You're renting your walls, your floors, so don't paint, don't wallpaper, like invest in a
unless
good
it's
sofa.
unless it's desperate, I
Right.
try to avoid that. You know, it's just like, because you can make it look great with all of the things that you bring to the space if the space is a pretty clean backdrop, and make it look great, make it feel great, and invest, you know, your money in the things that you can take with you. And it was so interesting. Here's this young girl, and she was really cool and smart, and she was thinking like, well, should I repaint the apartment? Should, you know, she was thinking of all of these things that I just thought, if you have a limited budget and you want to be sort of really thoughtful about what you do, buy 4 pieces of art, and that will be the color on that wall, and really do something great with that, and invest it in something that'll give you, that you can bring with you, and that'll give you a better return.
With the show, does it mean something to be back on Bravo? And
Yes.
what do you
Oh my
guys
God, yeah,
hope
for
people
sure.
take away from now this new show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think so Carson and I were at a dinner about almost a year ago with a bunch of people from Bravo, and, you know, we sat down and it was, you know, welcome home. So it was, that was kind of a really great moment. And I do think that we were talking about this yesterday, it's sort of full circle for us to be back on Bravo, to be working together again. We've even talked about the idea of, you know, working with the other, you know, the other Queer Eye guys, both new and old. And so, yeah, so it's like one of those things that we're excited about.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's also a perfect place for us because I think it's a personality network.
Right.
Yeah.
And our spaces that we create
Right.
are pretty personality packed. I mean, they're really interesting. There's not a lot of beige going
Even
on.
even our dead client had a big personality.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
Couldn't shut her up. So yeah, I think it's a perfect fit. And Bravo's doing this whole thing where they're creating like, you know, an evening of shows about real estate and design.
Right.
And I think it just fits. It's
Right.
you know, people are
And that
into
actually fits our personality because we are the demographic that we would be watching that. That's like something that
Right.
we would be interested in. So to actually be a part of it, and to be sort of communicating to other people that are interested in it, it feels very organic.
Yeah. And how does it
Yeah.
feel to know that the show, I mean, thinking of Queer Eye now, like still impacts and resonates with fans? I mean, I think that's so wonderful.
yeah.
I think we both think it's great. I mean, I think the idea that it's amazing to us that the new Queer Eye is resonating the way it is, and we love that, and we think it's great. To see the brand continue to grow and evolve is really amazing. And then also for us to see the old episodes on Bravo,
Right.
and for people to still connect with it, although we look at it and go, what were we doing our
I
hair?
had
Like,
a
are we
feathered
crazy?
mullet. Okay.
It worked though, Carson. It worked.
Oh my
We
God.
all were flat ironed like crazy. It was
Yeah.
like we all looked like Judge Hatchet. It was like it was 2003, but
Different times.
yeah. But
It was
regardless
hilarious.
of the era, whether it's the original
Yeah.
Queer Eye or the new one,
Yeah.
I think it even transcends the cast and the times. It's just the show is such a great idea because it celebrates people
Yeah.
at its core. And I hear from young people like your ages, and now a new generation of young people who say, watching the show just made me realize like queer people are a lot more similar than they are different. It allowed me to have a
Right,
dialogue
right.
with my family about coming out, all these different things. And if you can make someone's life a little easier and remove that, you know, the worry and the angst that probably
Yeah.
both of us went through and earlier generations, that's a great gift. So I think that's the bigger message of the show and why we're so lucky to have been a part of it.
I love that.
No, please sit down. Just sit down.
Carson and Thom, thank you so much for joining us. Really, a pleasure.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. You can catch the season premiere of Get a Room with Carson and Thom this Friday at 9/8 Central on Bravo. That's all from us. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same table. Thanks, everyone.